Hello, my name is Bill Arthur. I'm an Australian. After studying agriculture and economics, I spent some years working in South India, Papua New Guinea and farming in Australia. In 1992, I volunteered to be a geography teacher in a secondary school in Dodoma, central Tanzania. During that time, I observed the poverty in the rural villages around the city. For the people living in these areas, getting enough to eat throughout the year was a huge challenge. Since 1995, I've been involved in seeking ways to improve food security in these villages. I now want to share with you some of the achievements and the ongoing needs of farming families in the Dodoma area. Dodoma is the capital of Tanzania and is in the semi-arid centre of the country. The head office of the Anglican Diocese of Central Tanganyika is also there. The diocese has a development services department that is working to reduce rural household food insecurity and deal with other issues connected with poverty. Just before finishing my voluntary teaching time, I contacted the department and they thought that, with my background, I might be able to assist them. In 1995, my wife Ula and I returned to Dodoma to work with the department, and after 10 years of challenging and interesting work, we returned to Australia in 2005. Since coming back to Australia, I've continued to support the work of the Development Department through research and regular visits. The Anglican Diocese has around 283 parishes, of which more than 200 are in villages where many people lack food security. This often means being reduced to one miserable meal per day for several months of the year. The climate in central Tanzania makes it a good place to live, but a difficult place to farm. Most of East Africa has a short and a long wet season. Central Tanzania has just a single short erratic wet season. This contributes to the difficulty many farmers have in growing sufficient food for their families. Most farmers only have hand hoe for a cultivation, and this reduces the area they can plant and the depth of cultivation. To till the soil, it is often necessary to wait until after the first rain has softened the soil. This reduces the time crops have to grow. The traditional farming system relied on moving to a new area every few years, where bush had enabled soil organic matter and fertility to build up. However, population growth means that this is no longer possible, as most suitable land is already being farmed. This leads to fields being continuously cropped, which reduces their fertility and often creates a hard pan just below the level of cultivation. Manure can help restore fertility, but the amount of manure available is only a fraction of what is needed. Chemical fertilizer is expensive and risky to use in an area with an erratic rainfall. Most central Tanzania subsistence farmers are faced with a short, erratic wet season, degraded soils with low fertility and poor rainfall infiltration, with only a hand hoe for the cultivation of their 5 to 10 acre farms. Low crop yields combined with poor grain storage facilities means that many farming families must survive on one meal per day for several months of each year. Low crop yields also result in poverty, with families being unable to buy essential items like medicines or to pay school fees. This can stop children getting a good education and escaping poverty. Conservation agriculture, usually referred to as CA, has shown that it is able to significantly improve crop yields and food security. It does this by firstly ensuring maximum rainfall capture and infiltration into the soil. This is achieved by using permanent planting stations dug through any hard pan. While traditionally any manure available is spread out over the whole field, in conservation agriculture just a small amount of manure is used in each planting hole. This makes it go a lot further and weeds don't benefit from the manure as they do in the traditional system. After the seed is planted, a depression is left to reduce runoff. Conservation agriculture provides a moist, fertile soil that encourages crop growth even during dry spells. The crop of this farmer was planted the traditional way and suffered a long dry spell. The crop of this farmer suffered the same dry spell, but was planted using conservation agricultural methods. Conservation agriculture has been shown to give double or triple yields. While it is more labour per acre, it is less labour per bag of grain produced. Food security can also be enhanced by using newly developed high-yielding crops. Traditional millet varieties such as the one shown are tall crops that are drought-tolerant but not high-yielding. The much faster-growing short-term sorghum is a more recent crop and can reach maturity even if the wet season is shorter than usual. Short-term sorghum puts all its energy into producing grain rather than long stems, as is the case with traditional millet. The Conservation Agricultural Training Project supplies short-term crop seed to participants and shows them how to select seed heads and store seed for future use. While it is believed that hand-hoe conservation agriculture can eliminate food insecurity for most farming families, the large labour input required means it will usually be restricted to an area of an acre or less around the home. In the long term, to further reduce poverty, some form of farm mechanisation will be required. The project has designed and developed a ripper suited to two-wheel tractors. It has run trials on ripping, which enables conservation agriculture to be practiced on fields too large to be cultivated using a hand hoe. This is the first two-wheel tractor to use the ripper developed by the project. The cost of a two-wheel tractor with trailer and implements ranges from $5,000 to $8,000 depending on the size of the tractor and whether it is imported or purchased locally. One unit will usually serve 20 to 25 farms. The widespread introduction of two-wheel tractors to the farming system in the area will be very challenging, and a pilot project is being prepared which it is hoped will start in the middle of 2024. This future project will eventually be seeking support from those who are wanting to see the farming system used around Dodoma mechanised in a way that not only reduces rural poverty, but also enhances the environment. By its very nature, this is a long-term project, and the top priority is still to reduce household food insecurity by the widespread practice of hand-hoe conservation agriculture around family homes. Farming families report losing more than a quarter of their grain in storage to rats and weevils. To achieve food security, farming families need to produce more food and store it more safely than is possible with the traditional systems or the polybags, which are starting to replace older systems. Airtight grain storage pits can eliminate grain loss, and the DCT Parish to CA project shows farmers how to install and use these, and provides a small amount of material required. A pit is dug inside the home and is sprayed with the safe insecticide used for mosquito nets. The pit is then lined with polythene sheet, and this is protected by mud blocks. The mud blocks are plastered with a cow dung clay mixture. After the blocks and plaster are completely dry, grain is placed in the pit. This farmer is using a pit for the first time and is installing a second polythene layer to ensure protection against any possible dampness remaining in the blocks or the plaster. The grain is covered with polythene. A 10 centimetre layer of soil or sand is poured on top. Mud block vats are a good alternative to pits, where pits are not suitable. Here we see grain store trainer Joshua with a vat fitted between roof supports. In this case, a pit would not have been a good idea. A double vat is useful, as only half the grain is unsealed, leaving the other half for long-term storage. This is one of the first families to store grain for more than a year. The smiles tell the result and how important this is. By 2016, DCT Development Services had a reasonably good understanding of the farming system in the diocese. Experience had shown that conservation agriculture, when combined with airtight grain storage, could significantly improve farming families' food security. The challenge was then how to get the knowledge of these technologies out to all the villages in the diocese. This map indicates the distribution of villages in the diocese. The suggestion was that Development Service establish a project that would train a small number of church leaders to become village conservation agriculture trainers. In September 2017, a church leader conservation agriculture training project was conducted at the DCT Abiwa Training Centre, 38 kilometres from Dodoma. This was very successful, so training has been continued each year. But now, as more remote parishes are being trained, it is conducted in a parish that is central to several other parishes. The first step is for the project coordinator to consult with the area dean and pastors that will be invited to participate in the project. The second step is to arrange a parish meeting of those who are suitable and likely to be interested in being trained. The parish then selects 6 or 7 members they believe will benefit most from the training and who will eventually pass on their knowledge and experiences to other members of the community. Around 4 parishes are usually involved in this training, making a total of 25 to 30 participants. Training starts in September with a 5-day course, timed to be just before the farmers need to start preparing their fields. Here we see the Reverend Canon Charles Muhambi, Project Coordinator, introducing trainees to their first CA course. Canon Charles emphasises how conservation agriculture enables good stewardship of God's gifts of soil and water to produce more food. The training is both theoretical and practical. Each participant is followed up by a Project CA trainer in December. Here we see trainer Michael on a follow-up visit to a trainee's CA plot. In February, there is a second course dealing with disease and pest control. Trainees will also learn how to make compost and what they must do to prepare for the installation of a grain store in their home. This includes identifying the best location for the store within the home and the making of mud blocks for the grain pit or vat. Here we see mud blocks being dried for a pit or vat. And here polythene sheet is being measured to seal the soil from ground moisture. The DCT Parish's Food Security Training Project has been operating for 6 years, and during this time has given basic conservation agriculture and airtight grain storage training to 716 people in 108 parishes. Some of those trained have graduated to become village CA trainers. However, most need further advice and support. Currently, the 2 main objectives of the DC Parish's Food Security CA Training Project are 1. To reach the 90 or so parishes that have not had any conservation agriculture and airtight grain storage training. 2. Further training and support for those who have completed basic CA training and have shown to be proactive in passing on their knowledge and experience to others. Those who have graduated as volunteer CA trainers will also need encouragement and support if are they to remain proactive in persuading others to adopt CA and airtight grain storage. Reaching the remaining parishes and providing support to those already trained is a significant task if it is to be done well. The diocese is approximately 200 kilometres long and 100 kilometres wide, and to reach all those parishes who need training or support from the project staff requires a lot of travelling. The current parish's Food Security CA Training Project team. From left to right, Michael, CA trainer. Reverend Canon Charles Muhambi, part-time project coordinator, who I've known for the last 25 years. Joshua, grain storage trainer. Lister, director of DCT DSC. And Naftali, CA trainer. For the 23-24 season, current staff are fully occupied supporting and giving further training to the more than 700 farmers who have received basic CA training. To include more parishes and farmers will require more staff. An additional project CA trainer should, over 3 years, enable a further 45 parishes to be brought into the project. 2 additional CA trainers could mean all of the outstanding parishes will have had at least basic CA training in this period. The salary of a CA trainer is $10,000 per year, while the cost of a motorcycle, fuel, maintenance and teaching material, etc. is estimated at another $8,000 per year. This presentation is being put forward in the hope that there will be more people who want to contribute to the work of improving the food security of farming families in central Tanzania. If this project interests you, or you know of others who might be interested, I'd be happy to answer any further questions you may have. Please share this presentation with others. Here are the details of how you might financially contribute to this project. Thank you.